word about me, they ain't never seen one. You ain't really about it, I can see it through the screen, son. Thinking limit lane.
Music licensing reimagined.
My opponent's never on it. I ain't thinking about tomorrow, only thinking about the moment. Feel the rush from the bump jump. 20s in my loaded trunk.
You're all right.
Yes, we are, man.
Like you want it, my opponent's never on it. I ain't thinking about tomorrow, only thinking about the moment. Feel the rush.
I should have kept that going, kept me awake.
There you go. I'll give you a round of applause there, buddy. So how are you doing today, buddy? What are you grateful for?
I'm doing great. Hope everybody enjoyed that musical interlude. Yeah. And for those of you from the West, we're all from the West here in this country, but yesterday was Orthodox Easter. And if you don't know what that is, it has nothing to do with theology other than calendar. The West uses the Gregorian calendar, the East, the Julian. Thus, you have the two Easters. And in 28, they'll be together again. But no, I had a great time yesterday. I got to see my son. And there was lamb on the spit.
Ooh.
Fun stuff. And so be it. So it's, as they say, Easter Monday, I guess is what you'd call this day. So,
okay. Well, good.
Good
Sounds like you had a good time. And
yep.
I know you were out of town last week, a little getaway, you and the wife.
Yeah. My wife had, she was off for the week and said, we got to go somewhere. I just need to get away. So, and we did. Tom's right. We went to the Gulf Shores Golf State Park. It was actually owned by the state, and then the Hilton took it over. So things change, obviously, but it was fun. It was good to get away. And, actually, believe it or not, when we got there Sunday, it was rainy and cold, and Monday was cold. We had to actually go buy a jacket for me.
What's cold
well, it was down when you're on the beach. I think we were like in the 50s, 40s. I'm not kidding you.
Okay.
So I wasn't going to walk around out there in shorts and short sleeves. So I had to get a pullover or something. And I left all my jackets here. That was the funny part about that one. I had a great time.
Well, good. Yeah, getting out of town is a good thing, and glad you had a good time. I'm getting out of town here in a couple of weeks with Kathy. Going up to Green Bay. She's going to be teaching up there.
Nice.
Continue education, and I'm going to go to Lambeau Field and the Hall of Fame up there, and just I've been to a couple Packer games, but not since they've revived the entire stadium. So I'm going to go check it out. And
it's one place I've never been is Green Bay at Lambeau. I've never seen it. Heard about it since a kid. All those great Packer teams.
Yeah,
I hear it's pretty impressive. That actually, what they did with the old stadium into what it is today is incredible.
Yeah,
how they renovated it.
Yeah, I went to the old Lambeau a couple games. One of my bosses had tickets. He was an owner,
Right.
Public company, I guess. People that have ownership. But, there's a big waiting list to get tickets, so season tickets, so years to take. So if you got them,
I can only imagine what that's like. That's got to be incredible.
Yeah. So, but anyway, Green Bay Packers, you got to love it here. It's sort of a religion here in Wisconsin. That and deer hunting.
I thought Wisconsin basketball was the thing too, man.
They love their deer hunting here. I think got more deer than people in this state.
Right. Tom, did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I don't hunt.
I thought that Wisconsin basketball was the big thing. Back in the day, Bo Ryan was the man.
Yeah, Dick Bennett, Bo Ryan, now Greg Gard. but this portal thing is see how well they can handle that to keep talent or draw talent in. So
Sure.
they got some pretty big name guys coming in this portal class. I guess that's what you call it. I don't know. But it's no longer amateur basketball for these kids. Some of these kids are making, $10 million to stay in school.
Right.
That's crazy, huh?
And then you got like a lot of guys, or I shouldn't say a lot, but there's more Euro players coming over too.
Oh, yeah.
Play basketball, which some of those guys at 18 and 19 are already playing in the professional ranks in their country.
Yeah.
So, interesting. Robert Brooker. Hello, Robert.
No,
Mr.
Robert
is back. I'll say it. Oh, Canada. Yeah, there he is, man.
Hi, Robert. How you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight. Tag and share this out. We're going to do something a little bit different. I'll let Mark sort of launch what we're going to be talking about here in a bit. So anytime you feel like moving forward with that, go ahead, Mark.
Okay. Tonight we're going to do something different. My cohort in crime here used to be a really avid photographer. It never left him, but I know he's done a lot of, he's taken pictures. I know he was involved with youth sports. Obviously, you can make a penny from that because there are photographers everywhere. I don't care the sport, whether it's soccer, football, baseball, basketball. Man, they've got packages, they got deals. Tom was crazy enough to go out and shoot these things. God bless him for doing it. With that stated, tonight he's going to give us a little presentation and a flavor of some things he's taken. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but it's recently. You've got a little portfolio you're going to share with us, and I'm curious to see what he comes up with here.
Yeah, what I'll be doing tonight, my intent is just it's sort of a pre-launch to me taking my creative photography and to share that with everybody. But I'll be setting up all my photography up in a platform that allows people to buy prints, framed work. There'll be some merch items as well. You get a mug with my artwork on it, that type of thing. But I'll just I got a presentation here. I'll just go through it, and we'll just if you want to stop and ask me any questions, please do.
Absolutely.
Let me get this screen up here.
Hey, Randy. Randy Chafee's with us.
Randy, how you doing, bud?
I'm honored that you're here with us, since we're not really talking sales. We're just having a good time here. There we go. This is what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah, beyond the mind's eye, the visible within the invisible. Beyond the Mind's Eye is the name of my photography company that I had, my creative side. I started out, I'll just cover some things here on the slide so I don't get off track. But Beyond the Mind's Eye, my work that I do in photography is I want to bring something different to what we call our visible eye, and see beyond that. And my work hopefully will reflect a little bit of that. So here we go. Beyond the Mind's Eye, seeing the visible within the invisible is sort of my tagline, sort of about messaging behind my work. Get people think a little bit differently than what we see with our physical eye. So my journey in photography goes back into the 50s. When I was a kid, into the 60s, our family had Mark, remember this camera?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. The Kodak.
Yeah, the old Kodak Brownie. That's what I did our family pictures with, and that sort of, yeah, sort of got me going a little bit. I sort of like taking pictures. But when I was in the uh, Army in AIT, Advanced Infantry Training,
Advanced individualized training. Yes.
remember that?
Yep.
I was at, let's see, where was the change? I was at Fort Ord,
That's in
um,
California, right?
California, in Monterey. And when I was out of basic, so I went to the, always wanted to buy a camera, so I bought my first camera at the PX, a Pentex K1000 film camera.
Oh, wow.
There it is, right there.
That's camera number 2 at 1971. There you go.
Yeah, 1971. It was when I first bought my first 35 millimeter camera, and then I had that camera for years. Shot film, black and white, transparencies, and regular color film.
Right.
Then years later, when I decided to go into photography, I love sports, I love kids. Whoops, go back here. My first pro camera was that I used is a Canon
I
film
remember
camera.
those. I remember those.
Yeah, Legends Imaging Photography was my sports. I did little leagues and soccer and baseball, football. Did the team pictures, sold the buttons, sold the magazine covers, sold all the kids holding their bat and all the team pictures. So that's what I started out. But that I was trained by a gentleman up near Olympia, Washington.
Oh, wow.
So I went up there to be trained I shot as many as 1,500 kids in a day. Now, I didn't do all the photographers. I had a team of people doing the team pictures, individual pictures. But he taught me the business of sports photography, how to set up, how to shoot masses of teams in little league, soccer, hockey, you name it, I did it, basketball, all the way into college. I did some college stuff as well.
And I'm sure every time you walked out there and were taking pictures of these kids, parents are probably coming up to you and said, "Hey, can I get a picture of my son or daughter?"
Well, that was part of the training. We had the organization put out a flyer or a memo to all the parents that we had the photo area roped off. Parents couldn't get inside.
Oh, good.
They couldn't come up to the team picture area or the individual picture area.
Right.
Distracting. We had certain poses that we wanted to get them in, and we didn't want distraction. So they couldn't get into the area where we're shooting. We had it all roped off. So it was part of that. We had it pretty well organized. You'd run a team from one station to the next. We did as many as 3 teams at one time, 3 different photographers doing the team picture. Then we put them in a corral. I called it the corral. The roped off area we had, and then brought the kids up one at a time with a different camera and a different tripod set up to do the individual pose. And I see some of these pictures out there today. I was trained by a guy that understood traditional posing, like Willie Mays had a particular type of pose that he did. Marichal, you name it. All these different players had very specific ways they posed, traditional posing. So I learned those things, and that's how I had the players getting those poses. And that separated me from everybody else. Classic sports photography poses.
Right.
And in that process, going from I was shooting transparencies, and having to edit those, picking out the best picture of the kid without blinking, no closed eyes, that type of thing, and sending those images off to the lab.
Mhm.
They converted them into negatives and then printed out product, whether it be a button, whether it be the pose shot, like a baseball card or a magazine cover. They had a wide range of product mix that the parents could order their children with. I did dance as well. I did classical dance,
nice.
ballerinas, and that type of stuff. There's a ballet school in Madison that I had an opportunity to shoot all their students over a number of years. And the woman that owned the studio was everything had to be perfect, precise. It had to be, you just couldn't have a kid go up there and do some sort of improvised pose. There's like 3 or 4 major poses she wanted us.
Right.
She did a stick person drawing of and named the pose, how the hand was turned inward, outward, up, down, where the toe was supposed to. It was pretty elaborate. So learned how to take photographs of classical art dancers, ballerinas, that type of thing. So it was quite an experience. Then I transitioned my equipment. Things started going digital. Thank God. That made my shooting and editing that much better. Instead of taking 3 and 4 pictures of every player, I could see it instantaneously on the monitor and the camera. Was it a good shot or not? So it expedited the speed of shooting, the accuracy, the quality, all that type of thing, going digital. So that was the equipment transition that I've gone through. And
Cool.
yeah. Mark, do you ever do any photography at all?
Yeah, but it was limited. I never really went out and bought a camera. I had a friend in high school that was really into it and helped him. But yeah, I wish I would have.
Everybody that's got one of these things for photography.
Well, now, yeah, with my iPhone.
The technology, they take pretty
They do.
clean pictures.
I just remember how, in fact, he actually got a job for the newspaper or local newspaper when he was even in high school on a part-time basis. But it was really interesting to watch him develop film, going in the old dark room and the chemicals and how you mixed and watched the pictures come out. And he was into taking a lot of black and white photography. And it was pretty cool. And as a matter of fact, he wound up going into the Marine Corps and was affiliated with a photography unit. So, and they weren't just taking pictures of birds and bees, You can imagine what type of pictures they were taking. So he was very gifted, for a high school kid. I was just like, wow. And kind of took it on as a hobby, and then it just flourished.
Yeah. Started with me as a hobby. I started out shooting film.
Yeah, there's those rooms. Yeah.
There's the negatives. I developed my own film, black and white.
Right.
I had a dark room and so that was quite an experience learning how to do that. I had a friend of mine's friend help me with the dark room stuff. When we went to the moon for the first time,
yes,
the astronauts came back with rock samples, moon samples. He was the guy that trained me in the dark room and trained me in some photography details, won the contract to shoot the moon rocks. He was that good technically. So when you see any pictures of the moon rocks, he's the one that took the picture. I can't recall his name off the top of my head, but anyway.
Very cool.
I had some training on photography there, darkroom training with him.
Nice.
Yeah, just learn how to do it right. It was always. I remember the first time developing my first roll of film. You had to do it by feel. You put it in a bag where your hands go into it, and you had to take the film out of the little canister and roll it into a spiraled receptor. You couldn't see what you're doing. It's just all in the dark. And getting that in there, and then putting that canister inside the developing canister where the chemicals would go, and that was the process. It was quite an experience. Then you developed the film, then you hung the film, let it dry, then you inspected each negative.
Oh, wow.
And then you took it over to you can see right here, the enlarger.
Right.
It would take that negative image and put it down on the flat surface. That's where you put your photography paper. And you had to figure out calculations of time and amount of light, that type of thing, aperture of the device. You get exposure, then you'd run your paper through developing liquids and then drying them and all that type of thing. And then you have a final image in black and white.
So
And
I'll,
you
Tom,
could really go ahead.
I was just going to say, so back in the day, this was what, in the 60s that you were doing this, roughly? Am I right?
70s.
Okay, 70s, however long ago that was, right? Seeing as how we're in 2026. You were a First Amendment type guy then, back then, taking pictures in
Yep.
public.
Oh yeah.
Now, the reason I bring that up, because there is something we're going to do. We're going to talk about it, and I'm even going to bring clips so everybody can see how crazy our society has gotten in front of a camera with the cameras we have now. But it's I remember all too well back in those days, people wanted to get in front of the camera, wave and say, "Hi, Mom," and all that wild stuff.
Yeah, that was my hobby. I was young. I never thought about doing it as a business until
Right.
later. But anyway, that was sort of how I got started with that camera from when I was in AIT.
Okay.
They had a dark room. That's where I was exposed to how to develop film, was in the dark room.
Neat.
And I had continued study thereafter. So it was fun. Spent a lot of money on equipment.
It is not cheap, right, Tom? I mean,
not for good equipment. No, the equipment makes all the difference in the world.
right.
Seriously. But I remember when I was, I used to run around with a bunch of biker guys.
Uh-huh.
I don't have his pictures anymore, but he wanted me to take pictures of his motorcycle, chopper, Harley
Right.
Chopper, extended forks and fancy paint job and all that type of stuff. I took pictures of it, and he got those published in a motorcycle magazine. So I had my work exposed in a big publication. That was my first commercial endeavor in photography. Then I started doing car shows, custom car shows. I loved inanimate objects. I would look at, I would try to find different details and focus on the details. So I moved from motorcycles to cars, and I did motorcycles in between cars as well. It wasn't until, I'm trying to think of the years now, when I decided to go into business with photography. I didn't want to do weddings. I did a couple weddings. I tell you what, that is hard
A
work.
famous job, a very tough job.
Well, yeah, and you're dealing with neurotic people, and people are uptight about the wedding, and their expectations are really
Right.
crazy to deal with. But I decided to do sports photography. The little leagues, the team pictures, the individual pictures, that type of thing. And I was led to a person up in Olympia, Washington, that had a huge sports photography business. He'd been doing it for years, doing the team pictures, the individual pictures, and then selling different products, buttons, trading cards, magazine covers, all that. But I went up there for 2 weeks and learned how to stage a shoot, like I was sharing with you earlier.
Right.
I did as many as 1,500 kids in one day. How to do that, how to set it up, how to stage your shoot, all that, the business side of it, finding the right company to develop your work. All that was done, how to price, how to do different types of poses. Lou Gehrig batting position, Willie Mays' poses.
Right.
All those people had almost trademark type poses. If you saw them today, you'd say, "Oh, that's a
Lou Gehrig, Willie Mays, yeah,
or whatever." Yeah. But in the meantime, I started getting my creative eye, taking pictures. I love flowers. I just, springtime is great. They intrigue me. This first picture right here, the pink flower, that's my signature piece.
Oh, cool.
Story behind that, because Kathy and I were doing a trip in California up the North Coast on Highway 1, running from San Francisco north on the North Coast all the way up to Mendocino, getting close to the Oregon border. And I was taking pictures that time of flowers. I was into shooting flowers, editing those flowers, doing some creative stuff with them, but I wasn't in the business of marketing my artwork. But this is a very unique, if you know anything about photography, and I explained how I captured this, I'm lucky I got this image. We're driving up the coast. I saw a property that had a lot of tulips. So I stopped, pulled off the side of the road, walked over, taking pictures of tulips. And I was standing under a canopy of a tree canopy. And there was light coming through. And I looked down at my feet, and down below my feet, by my feet, was a little sweet. That's a sweet pea. I guess I don't know the names of flowers, but a sweet pea.
Mm-hmm.
Entire amount of little flowers, about 3 or 4 little flowers, was very small, maybe about the size between my fingers right here. And I'm looking down, the light's coming through, just a stream of light was just hitting these flowers. And I'm shooting with a 105 millimeter lens. Slow, it's a slow lens. It doesn't have a wide aperture. Won't get into the details of that, but it was a very slow lens. So I'm trying to get an exposure. I had to shoot this thing at a 30th of a second, handheld, no tripod. You know anything? It doesn't take much at all, 30th of a second, 60th of a second even, to get a blur. But I had competed competitively when I was in college, pistol, so I had a good sense of breathing and trigger control. So I used those techniques to capture slow exposures, and I captured that picture. That's my signature piece, just because it was so difficult of an image to capture, and it came out. So that's the story behind my signature.
Nice.
Flower. Okay. Sort of my trademark picture. There it is, my signature print. There it is. That was a digital image, but I did any modification or enhancements with Photoshop. White flowers, they're just beautiful. They're captivating. Now I'm just going to go through some of the things I've done. I've got thousands of pictures, Mark, but I just grabbed a couple here today.
Right.
Here I did some manipulation of the image of the flower. You can see the content of the flower stretched out, deformed a little bit. So I just do some creative beyond the mind's eye, seeing things, seeing the visible in the invisible. When we look at something, many times we just look at the surface. Oh, okay, that's great. That's pink. That's red. That's blue. That's pretty. My whole concept is try to create something that took it to a different place, invisible. Try to bring something else out of it. So here's my signature with a different frame. I just did some artwork frames around it. Here's another flower. Whoops. Then this flower right here. This flower was taken in my garden in Deerfield, Wisconsin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. This is enhancement. This is a chalk. I converted to from a photograph to a chalk type finish. So I used Photoshop to enhance that. This shot right here, Mark, do you think, is this a black and white picture or a color picture?
It looks black and white, but it's probably color.
It's a color.
Yeah.
This was taken on the north coast of California in a place called Elk.
That's nice.
There's a beach, windy trail that goes down to the beach. We were coming up the trail. I stopped and looked out, and you can see that right up here where the sun's coming through the cloud. You can see a little bit of blue. So I captured that picture. There was no enhancement on that whatsoever. That's what it looked like with the naked eye, and I was able to capture
Oh, wow.
that image. But a lot of people think that's a black and white picture. That's actually a color. That's actually what was happening as we were walking up the trailhead.
Hey, Tom, just real quick, you may want to get a little closer to your mic. I don't know if it's kind of fading in and out.
Is that right? Is that better?
That's beautiful.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then I would just stop and take pictures. This was in a winery up here in Wisconsin in the fall time, some sort of vine on the building with the light there. And so I just captured that picture, did some enhancements, art enhancements to it. I never knew what was going to come out when I got into it. I would just
Takes pictures and say, hey, this is what I'm going to,
I'm going to come up with, something would come up different, and I would just enhance on it. This is a poppy, not a poppy. Yeah, poppy.
Yeah.
That's an image. That is not an enhancement. That is actually
That's the actual
photograph. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, the detail there, and I put a custom art frame around it. This is a tulip, and I just did enhancements with it to give it a different look. Red, orange. This is a flower in my garden. A close-up of the, I don't know what they call that in the middle of the flower where the bees get their pollen and stuff, but I took that picture and then enhanced it a little bit. This is the same flower I did earlier, just a different finish, a different artwork on it. There it is again, in chalk. Watercolor here. This first blue one up here, where in the middle right here. That's the actual photograph. You see the light shining on it.
Yep.
And then the one to the bottom to the right is the actual
What
enhancement.
time of day did you shoot these?
Yeah, I recall off the top of my head all different times of the day.
Pretty awesome.
This is just some creative stuff I did. This is this isn't the image itself, but it's two oak trees that were on the side of a hill.
Right.
I just took the pictures, then I did some artwork on it to create that image, and then I split it and brought them back together and made a black and white. You can see these are exactly the same.
Right.
Like in the middle here, I just inverted them and put them together just to make a different picture. Then the footsteps in the sand. This is down in Carmel, California, on the beach. Those footsteps and Kathy's, those are footsteps of her father.
Oh, nice.
We were walking on the beach, and I stepped back and I took pictures of the footsteps in the sand.
Very cool.
And the picture below is White Sands, New Mexico. The picture with the church here, this is in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. The day I took that picture, it was probably 10 to 15 below zero. The lake, as you can see, the lake is frozen. This is Fowler Lake, which we overlook here in our condo. but this is the Episcopal Church here in town, right on the lake.
Oh,
And I just captured that on a super cold day. I remember, I'll never forget that, walking through Fowler Park, getting down to the lake's edge. The lake was frozen, of course, at that, in January, whatever it was, and I took that picture.
mm.
And then this is just a flower in my gardens, and then I just did some background work, just to have the flowers stand out by themselves. Again, we looked at those tulips, just different looks, different effects I put on the tulips. A lighthouse in Northern California. That tree that I took earlier, there it is again. Then I did this artwork with it. It looks like a stamped impression. Again, there's that picture. You can see the blue sky up there. That's not a black and white. That's a color photograph. Perfect capture, I would call that. Being in the right place at the right time many times. And then just different flowers. There's that tulip again now in yellow. Here's that purple flower. I don't know what they call those. And then just these two images right here, the bottom left, they're the same flower, just different enhancements I did. The clovers right here, the little purple flowers, that's the actual photograph, no enhancements there. This is another flower in my garden. I did some enhancements around it, but that's the actual photograph of the flower itself. Then again, the poppy again. And then some other, these are just some enhancements of some of the flowers in my garden. This is the actual photograph of a flower. It's not enhanced. This one here, the middle one on the bottom. The one to the right is an actual photograph of a flower taken in my garden. This is an actual photograph of the one here on the left, the white with the orange middle. And this one here is just my creative. I did a little spiral swirls and stuff into the photograph, give it sort of a psychedelic look, I guess. I don't know what you call it. Then that flower we saw earlier, just different colors scheme. Then a boat. This is a Bodega Bay on the north coast. Boat was anchored in the water. I took that picture there. Landscape picture. And I was just doing a walk one day in Fort Bragg, the north coast. This is actually just somebody's shed, door in their shed, and I just took that picture because I like the contrast of the peeling paint and all that. There's that boat again. And this yellow picture right here, Mark, that is the actual photograph. That has been enhanced. Captured the light on the leaves and all that. So it was, you see something and you say, I want to capture that. And when you capture what you saw with your eye, with your camera. Did I lose Mark?
There you go.
Did I lose you?
Yeah, just temporarily. Somehow I got kicked out. So no biggie.
Okay.
I'm back. I'm back live.
Yeah, but anyway, that's actual flower in my garden. I was saying I saw the way the light was hitting the leaves and the flower itself, and the detail of the picture. When you capture what you see with a camera, and you can do that. That's the payoff.
Those are very nice.
And today's whole thing is just to give you a little idea about some of my artwork I've done, how I got to where I'm at. I'm an entrepreneur, always been an entrepreneur, but this is going to be my next business venture, is just start selling my artwork, my photography, on a platform that allow you to. And this is coming soon. It's not up yet, up and running. But I've been doing my investigation with distributors and those type of things to help me put my website together, put my offerings up, pricing things. That's coming real soon.
Nice.
Everything from what the offerings will be, anything from just basic prints. And you can take them and frame them the way you want. Frame prints, metal and plastic prints. You've seen photographs printed on metal, nice and shiny.
Yes,
Plastic.
great. That is impressive.
I'll be doing some of that. There'll be some merch with mugs and T-shirts and bags and more. Somebody like an item they want to have on a coffee mug or a plate or a T-shirt or whatever, they'll be able to order it from my website.
Cool.
And there'll be a lot more coming, but it's all artwork, my creations.
It's cool. That's very. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, so that's my work. That's sort of things people don't know about me that I want to share out there. But it's
And when will this be available? Like in the next 3 months?
probably the next 90 days.
Okay.
I've been meeting with the individuals at Art Storefront, getting all the details. They're going to create the website. They're going to make sure I'm linked up with the right procurement, the people that do the printing and all that stuff. They got a number of companies to make sure that they meet my demands that I want to put out in the marketplace, and to create the website, the order site. It's going to be kind of cool. You'll be able to take a picture of a wall in your house, put it into the website, and take one of the images and see if it works in your room. It's crazy, huh?
Oh, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so it's going to be a comprehensive website so you can work.
Are you going to use AI with that as well, Tom, or
What's
not?
that?
You're going to use AI with that as well, or are you just going to do things direct from the camera lens?
Oh, I will be doing some enhancing through Photoshop and some other
Okay.
editing tools, enhancing contrast, enhancing colors, depth of field, doing all sorts of stuff. But I want to take it and just enhance the original image. It could be a watercolor, it could be a chalk, it could be some other medium, oil painting look, all those type of things. That's done with software. But you got to go in and create what you want, and then it just does its magic to make it look like an oil painting.
Right.
So they can get a straight image, or they can get it converted to some sort of other medium.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
So that's my work.
Well, thank you again for sharing, man. That was cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to, like I said, I'm in the process of putting that piece together. It'll take probably 60 to 90 days.
Right.
There'll be an investment of time. I got to sort all my inventory out and put it in the right categories and what's going to be the right product mix for that particular image, depending on its pixelation, file size, that kind of determine how big you make an image. Some of those images can only maybe 8 by 10. Some of those images could be made to 24 by 48. Big,
Right.
Depending on the quality of that pixelation, the image itself.
Cool.
But I'll be doing some art. Photographer Kathy's new book she's working on and writing, so I'll be working on that. We'll have to get her back on. And so we're going to be using my photography and her writings. I'm going to put this up there. What do we got there, Mark? G-Men.
Yeah, just a little fun out there. But, there'll be all sorts of topics. Not so much from the business perspective, but things that happen every day, and I've got a few ideas next week if we don't have a guest. we may uncover just for fun and entertainment.
Anybody jump on and leave any messages?
Well, actually, we had Randy Chafee. We had our first guest there was Robert, and then we had
Pensive Poet 97. I don't know who that is.
We've had him as a guest. Yeah. Good person. Yeah, I've just been sending things. Couple people hopped on. Some made comments, some didn't. I had to put that in. And you were, if you think about it. And that right now is a touchy subject, cameras, particularly when there's a person behind the camera and you're taking pictures in public and people say, I don't want my image taken, and you're on a public street corner, but you could be shooting a building and somebody could happen to be in the background and that. So yeah, pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, we're being photographed every second day.
Oh, absolutely.
We're probably being recorded right now if my phone's just sitting here, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, or it's at least tracking what we're doing, and they're probably saying, oh my God, these guys are back at it again. Stop. But no, it's like you said, the minute you pull out of your driveway from your house, or even depending on if you're walking where you're at, there are cameras everywhere. So that's just the world we live in. And if you don't like cameras, God forbid, don't fly, or better yet, don't go in a grocery store, because they're everywhere. That's why I laugh when I see people like yourself out there taking a picture, and they'll walk up to the person with the camera, and I'm like, if you don't want to be in the camera shot, then don't go talk to the person with the camera. I mean, because they're doing their job, and yeah, you're probably going to be in it. I always find that amusing. But no, Tom, that sounds great. Can't wait to see when you.
And it's. I'm going to use it the same way that I've done a couple other things. Is that part of the proceeds you're going to go to support a cause.
Oh, neat.
And probably want to use it to support kids in the arts. Sort of run a parallel as a funny. So part of the proceeds will go to support a nonprofit or an organization here in our community to help kids explore the arts. My goal eventually, I've talked with Kathy, is eventually teach some kids about photography, but get some resources or donors that could support that with equipment.
Yeah. Yes.
Figure out how many kids I want to teach at one time, and have that amount of equipment available. We're talking the type of equipment. I gave all my equipment away. A friend of ours had a son who was in photography. He was displaying at our art fest down here. A very good photographer, but he was shooting with some lousy equipment. I didn't. At that point, I pretty much had given up continue taking pictures. So I gave him my equipment.
Oh, wow. My
Canon digital camera, some lenses, and some other flashes and different stuff. But I'm in the process of investigating purchasing the next generation of digital equipment that I would like to have to support taking close up or macro photography, the lens and stuff, that type of thing. Probably talking $8,000 to $10,000 for a couple lenses and a digital camera. So, yeah, it's not an inexpensive hobby. Yeah.
No, it's not.
But I used to have pretty big investment in equipment when I was doing youth sports photography. Shoot an event, 3 or 4 cameras, lights, backdrops, you name it. Um,
Yeah, it's a nonstop proposition.
yeah.
Yeah, but I know some guys do very well at it too. In the sporting end of things, but that too can be tough because
Yeah, what got me out of the youth sports photography? I was trying to create brand myself and create a not a franchise but a licensing program with me,
sure,
teaching people how to do youth sports photography, how to get the business, how to get them under contract, the do's and the don'ts, how to take pictures, do all that stuff, how to monetize their effort. But when this came out, everybody thinks they're photographers, right?
oh my, yeah,
Yeah, so I started seeing my revenues drop,
hmm
and I didn't want to change my business model at that time, so I just pretty much stopped taking pictures of youth sports.
Do you think that the iPhone has tapped into that industry, or are
Sure, a
there?
lot of people using this crazy. It can't do as much as a fully digital camera with an adjustable lenses, and you control light and shutter speed. But it takes really good quality snapshots. That's all it is, a snapshot. It's not a see if a digital camera or you can adjust shutter speeds and apertures for depth of
Oh,
field and
absolutely.
all sorts of stuff that makes it a creative image versus just taking a picture like a Kodak Brownie box camera. Click, you got the picture, right?
Gosh, I can't even imagine you bringing that up. I just I do remember that camera. We had one. I mean,
Who didn't, right? I mean, it was
and
like,
it was brown too. I mean, yeah, and the way
that's
you
right.
had to
Pictures
load,
when I was a kid,
the film in it. Well, you
Yeah.
remember then they came out with Polaroids. That was a big craze for a little bit.
Oh yeah, that was insane. Taking a picture and it zip out of the
You have
camera.
to like shake the negative, and yeah, it was kind of wild stuff.
But technology, I'll be using enhancements software, whether that's AI or not, I don't know. But it'd be like Photoshop and Pixio and some others where you can just control contrast and all sorts of stuff. Or you
Cool.
can use it and say, turn that image into a oil painting,
Mm-hmm.
and it does this thing. But you got to do the background work. You got to do all the adjustments to get it right. Make sure you got a good format. All the things that are important for a good artwork.
Right.
I love the photography because I don't paint, I don't sing, I don't play a musical instrument, I don't dance, I don't have any of those creative things, but I have an eye for photography. I've been told. I've been taught and trained by some pretty good people. So
Very nice.
yeah.
Well, Tom, that's all I got. I don't have any more questions, and we're at the pretty much the top of the hour. It's what 7:08, something like that.
Yep. 6:06 here in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, thanks for
Oh, absolutely.
hosting us today, and
Thank you for sharing. Man, this is the first time I can say this. We've actually seen the creative side of Tom Ginn, because it's usually the business side. So that's exciting.
yeah, I'm excited to just get it out there and
Right.
put. It's not because I want to start another enterprise to
I know.
embellish my wealth or whatever, but I do. I'm going to have cost, and I want to make a little bit of ROI on the investment, but most of the money is going to go to some sort of cause to support kids in the arts.
Cool.
It is yet, but I'll let people know. So when they make a purchase, a percentage of the profits are going to go to support that cause.
Very nice.
Yeah.
That's all they got. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Those that came on board live, do like, share. Anybody that's interested, and if you're a photographer, advanced, or you want to be one, tap in and hook up with Tom.
So with that all said, we'll give ourselves a round of applause.
Woo! Overwhelming.
Well, thanks everybody for being here, tag and share this information. If you want to get a hold of me, you can just DM me on Facebook. I'll be glad to talk if you've got any questions about photography. We'll do another short, when I get my website set up, we'll do a little follow-up one if you want, Mark.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Always looking for that.
I'm going to do some more crazy rock and roll, and we're going to end our meeting. Again,
Sure, absolutely.
God bless everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I'm tripping. Yeah.